Okay, touch the leg, all of you. Touch the leg. We have Carolyn Hansen, Kapil Chola, then Swikin, then the Elroy Fernandez, Ritenla, Shagun, Susan Ho, Tripti, then Mr. Mulder, then Tizrumla. Mulder, how do you pronounce your name fully? Mulder, unmute, unmute.
Yes,
Chart Mulder.
Yes.
Say it again.
It's a Dutch name. Mulder.
Chart Mulder. Thank you, Chart Mulder. Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Welcome. Then we have Laura Hogley. Okay. Yes, Laura.
How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Okay, welcome you all. So you must be wondering, what is the Tibet House class like? Now you are all seeing this? Yeah, so now we are all yeah, okay. So welcome you all. Thank you, Tenzin Chugela. Diveshla, thank you for making this possible. It is through the effort of Divesh Tenzin Chugela, Tibet House Secretary Tenzin Chudunla, Tenzin Tudubla, our IT staff. It is the effort that now we are meeting each other. For last months, everything remained the suspense. Okay, what is Tibet House like? Who is that Dorji Damdil? Who is that Diveshla? Right? Okay, so all in suspense. The Swikin, we know each other for many years, and Tenzin Dumala, we know each other. And then we have Sonamala, yes, and then Rigdena, yes. Otherwise, the many of you is like the new faces. This is coming together of brothers, sisters. It's a big family coming together. It's very good. Very good. And yeah, so welcome you. And we will, this is in a way, it's resuming our class, the course, resuming a course. And as the gesture of auspicious gesture, we will do a proper setting of the motivation. And Tenzin Shugela, Dibeshi already explained to you so well what is the protocol like, what is the procedure like. Just feel at ease. And of course, sometimes some people with this online, when visually the perceivable, then some strange things are happening behind the scenes, so that we have to be a little careful. Otherwise, don't be too serious. Let's relax. Relax as long as what Shugela Dibishla said, everything is followed. Relax. This is very important. Okay. And then it's very important for all of us to know each other, because this is an incredibly important journey, a journey of enlightenment, journey of seeking fearlessness, a journey of seeking infinite happiness. This is a very important journey, and a very sensibly following that. And if you follow this, how it follows very systematically over time, each one of us will get a confidence that, okay, now I know what the journey is like. That you will become an independent, like a pilot yourself, rather than having to always depend on somebody. What is this like? What is that like? You are not at all becoming self-confident. So now this journey should make us self-confident eventually. So this is the whole purpose. With this in mind, and particularly resuming this course, and then seeing the individuals, the closely coming to know your body language, and coming to know who you are, and coming to know me, coming to know the Bisla, and coming to know so then, and then seeing the body language of us, each other, in a way, it's the coming together or of a big family together. is very auspicious, very precious. And finally, let us not forget that the ground of the Buddha's teachings is compassion. Finally, let us make a commitment that, okay, no matter what, whatever degree of compassion that I have, no matter how weak I am in compassion, but finally I must emphasize on compassion. I must emphasize on compassion. Whatever I learn from this class, I must emphasize on compassion to make sure that all these learnings will enrich my compassion, to make my compassion profound, deep, vast, sophisticated, skilled, very sharp, quick. These are the skills that we need to cultivate as the facets of this compassion. So we should not remain complacent with whatever degree of compassion that we have. Let us not remain complacent with that. Our compassion that we are naturally gifted with, and the compassion of the bodhisattvas is very different. Compassion of bodhisattvas, it did not happen automatically. It happened through cultivation. Each one of us, we can cultivate compassion. So Acharya Chandrakirti, the incredibly brilliant teacher, when he was giving teaching on the text, his own composition, the text Madhyamika Avatar, Entry in the Middle Way, there, while the whole endeavor of the composition is to teach what this liberating path is, which is the wisdom of emptiness, how to liberate yourself from this illusion of the world, illusion of the universe, how to liberate yourself. So while this was his prime focus, to liberate yourself from all fears of the illusion created by your own mind of the universe. While that is whole endeavor, but the section on the salutation, when he was making salutation before he actually started to compose the text, the main part of the text, he made salutation to great compassion. So then, this great compassion that he was talking about, it is extremely profound, and we have already learned about the two methods to generate bodhicitta, the beautiful mind in this world, in this universe, the most beautiful mind, which is the bodhicitta, unconditional love to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is so precious, and we have already learned that. And meanwhile, from my very recent encounter with somebody who attended some of the bodhicitta retreats with me, where the whole emphasis is on cultivating bodhicitta, this very strong altruism to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, and that too we studied. And initially, during the encounter, during the meeting with the person, and the person was showing interest to sit for a retreat on, say, some tantric practice. And I said, and the person is very dedicated and fully committed. And I told the person that, okay, good, that's good, but then let us not forget that the ground must not be missed. The ground is the ground of renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, and the single-pointed meditation. These are required. You must not miss these 4 points as you sit into the retreat, long-term retreat. And a person said that, oh yeah, Geshe-la, the bodhicitta, it is my favorite part, and the whole my practice, like 24 hours, I'm into bodhicitta. I said, very good. I was quite impressed. I said, very good. Then over the course of the exchange, interaction, then I directly asked if you were practicing the bodhicitta on the basis of these two methods. And the person said, no. Then I said, then this is where you are going wrong. Then I told the person directly that the retreats which we did on bodhicitta, the two methods, and I am teaching these methods. While I teach the two methods, if I don't practice myself, I'm a hypocrite. It's a hypocrisy. If I'm not practicing the two methods myself and I teach somebody of the two methods, I am really a hypocrite. So likewise, people who attend the Bodhicitta retreat, like all the NDC students, Nalanda Dilmoko students who already attended these two methods, and I'm not saying that you have to practice every day. That's not what I'm saying. And at least we have to make it meaningful, make it useful, that what we are studying, what we are practicing, what we are studying, what we studied. There must be, it's not for to say the build our CV. Saying, oh, I attended retreat with Geshe Dorje Damde, I attended the NDC with Geshe Dorje Damde. No, it's not to build the CV. If you read this, I hope you all got this, the brochure, NDC brochure. So there, it very clearly indicated this is not for any degrees. Okay. Okay, there is a okay, what it says here is that I cannot get it on the spot. What it says here is that this course that we are giving, all this very systematically being taught, by no means this will be accounted as a university degrees. It's not for that purpose. So the point is that after learning this, if the purpose is to get a certificate, just to get a certificate, okay, then you just they give you attendance, and then finally after completing 1 year, then you take the certificate. Okay, work is done. But people who are joining this course, I know that say the many of the people I know that you are very serious in your spiritual search. This is what you are. Because of that, just as I should be practicing the bodhicitta when I teach that to somebody, likewise I also expect the people to practice the bodhicitta after learning how to meditate on the various steps of the two methods. So therefore, what I'm saying is that this seems to be quite a heavy talk, but on a lighter note, if you practice the two methods, I can indicate two things. One is that you may find difficulty at one point. You may see that at times it becomes a little mechanical, where you follow the steps, but the experience-wise nothing is happening inside. If that is where you reach, let me know. Number one. Number two, you also refer to the various texts. For example, like say the one text which can help to boost your experience would be like The Words of My Perfect Teacher by Zapatu Rinpoche. It's a very good book, Words of My Perfect Teacher. And then the Ornament of Liberation by the Tabul Hache is again a very good. And then they say where you become intellectually rich, and then you want really a very clear-cut, precise answers, then you have to go to Lama Tsongkhapa's 3 volumes. The book is referred to as the treatise on the great stage, treatise of the stages of path of enlightenment. The treatise on the great treatise on the stage. Oh yeah, the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. In other words, in Tibetan, you must know the Tibetan word also, Lamrim. It has 3 volumes. In Tibetan, it is only 1 volume. And in the English translators and the editors, they divided this whole one volume in Tibetan into 3 in English translations, 3 volumes. And second volume is dedicated on bodhicitta. Second volume is dedicated to bodhicitta, particularly when you become well versed in the learnings and in the steps of practicing bodhicitta. And then when you read other books, then you see that, okay, now I'm not getting answers. At that point, if you read the second volume of Lama Tsongkhapa, then you'll get answers from there. This is something that you have to keep in mind. Okay, so the point is that what I'm saying, the point is that see how much we can practice this. And if we practice the bodhicitta on the basis of these 2 methods, then the incentive. Okay, when I speak of the incentive, all the eyes are becoming white. Okay, that's good. Okay, so the incentive is that you become very confident. You become very confident that compassion, there are various degrees. You become very confident. You become very confident in the face of challenges. You become very confident in the face of challenges, that you can maintain your calmness, and you can see through your own experience that there are various levels of compassion, that you become, from inside, you feel yourself, that you become very stable, grounded, and your compassion doesn't waver easily. This is something extremely precious, and this would be the greatest of the incentives for somebody practicing bodhicitta. You'll become very confident. And then, just as the Buddha himself indicated, that the bodhisattvas should not learn many things. If you have one thing if you have one thing, you will attract all the good qualities in the palm of your hand. And the Buddha rhetorically asked the question, what is that one thing? He said, great compassion. So, experience of the great compassion automatically helps you to attract all the good qualities, like the wisdom of emptiness. It's not that you have the great compassion, automatically wisdom, compassion will come to you, wisdom of emptiness will come to you. No. So when you have the great compassion, automatically it'll make you to work to look for wisdom of emptiness. It'll make you to work to look for the other qualities like skillfulness, samadhi, and all the 6 perfections, 10 perfections, and all the qualities. This compassion will make you to work. And in the search of the good qualities, you will not feel exhausted. You'll feel so energetic. Otherwise, when we try to do something good for other people, we tend to become exhausted. We tend to become burnout. Whereas with the great compassion, it will never make you burn out. And in fact, a very beautiful incentive that I like to share with you is that with this great compassion, particularly through these two methods, and more precisely, the method of equalizing and exchanging self for others, with this method, you will get a feeling that the good thing that I'm doing for others, actually I'm doing for myself. Anything that I do good for others, this is actually doing the good thing for myself. So, just as you don't feel tired in eating breakfast every day, right? But if you have to feed breakfast to somebody else every day, you feel it's very tiring. But you will never feel tired to feed yourself with the breakfast every day. Not only breakfast, 3 times of food. Not only that, going to 5-star hotel and some hotels okay, today I'll give you a treat, right? Or, it's your birthday, so I'll give you a treat to you. Then you'll be very excited. So we'll never feel tired of feeding yourself. Why? Because you love yourself so much. So likewise, we see that when we practice compassion towards others, and particularly this method, we have to practice both the methods, not only the second one, both, but with the second one, equalizing and exchange method, you see that the good thing that I'm doing for others is actually I'm being benefited. You can feel that very strongly. And particularly the what we label as the enemies. These are the people who are actually making me strong. These are the people who are making me to get into my self-centered attitude. These are the people who are freeing me from self-centered attitude, from the clutches of the self-centered attitude. This is what you feel. It's a beautiful practice. So you will never feel tired. You will never feel burnout. This is the beauty of the bodhicitta practice, the service to others on the basis of the bodhicitta practice. Without the bodhicitta practice, then even if you are naturally gifted with compassion, but without the bodhicitta practice, when you are into this, the service to others, there's a tendency that we can feel burnout. There's every tendency we can feel burnout. With the bodhicitta practice, guaranteed that you will not feel burnout. Okay, this is incentive, and this will come to us only if we practice. So therefore, I would highly say, okay, because before I make the appeal, I should also tell you that in my own capacity, I'm trying my best to practice. In other words, this I see as the most important practice in my life, the bodhicitta practice, on the basis of the two methods. So therefore, I appeal that each one of you, as well, we have already learned the two methods, and then try to put them into practice, and then see how to enrich these two methods, because your experiences can be a little different from mine experience. So therefore, you can employ your experience to enrich this bodhicitta practice. Okay, so this is the appeal to you. Having said this, they will do a quick. So because that this is number one, resuming the Nalanda diploma course, resuming batch 2. And then number 2, that given that all the people who otherwise we do not see each other, now we are seeing each other. So this is like a family coming together. Family members who are being scattered everywhere, they are coming together. It's a very beautiful moment. So as an auspicious the gesture, we will do some prayers, and we'll do these prayers, and meanwhile they say doing a proper visualization would be extremely helpful, extremely meaningful. And we are just here, there are a number of people here, and we can also visualize with us all others, all sentient beings to be with us, because not everybody will have the opportunity, for this meeting. So let us visualize everyone. So with that in mind, doing a proper visualization. Number 1 is the refuge field. Number 2 is bodhicitta field. Then number 3 is being mindful of the purpose of this practice. Being mindful of the purpose of this practice. Okay, number 1, refuge field. Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and the Narada Masters in the space in front of you. And how you visualize them. They are very loving, caring, embracing. No matter how naughty we are, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they just embrace us where the mother embraces the child who is being abused or who is being criticized, accused by the other people. Bodhicitta field. Visualize your two parents on the two sides, and all of family members, including children, and all sentient beings, the human beings, the animals, insects, hungry ghosts, hell beings, god and goddesses, all beings with you, leaving none aside. And you are here, you are the mother, and all others are like your children. And you are there to embrace, give love, affection, and attention to each and every one of the sentient beings. And the purpose of this practice, what we are doing here, study, reflection, meditation, the purpose is this, is to unfold, is to unravel this incredible, most precious treasure, the treasure of enlightenment within us, known as the Tathagata Garbha, the Buddha nature within us, to unravel that. It doesn't matter what religion that you're following, whether Christians, Hindus, Muslims, Jains, Sikhs, Baha'is, or Jews, or following the Zoroastrianism. It doesn't matter. You may be non-believer. It doesn't matter. Everyone has this ultimate treasure, the treasure of the perfect happiness and total fearlessness. It is there within us. As long as that gold is mixed with the mud, while the nature of the gold is to glow, it does not glow. Your job is, you don't look for gold outside. Just remove the dirt, remove the mental defilements, remove the mental mud, and the gold inside will start to glow. This is who you are. So this is what for we are doing here. And to remove that, remove the metal dirt, remove the mud, we need to we need to identify what they are. We need to apply the respective remedies. So with the purpose to learn how to identify these mental defilements and how to apply the remedies to overcome these mental defilements, we are doing this class. So for that matter, imagine that you are leading this and all sentient beings are joining you in this journey of cleansing the mental defilements to unfold, to unravel this incredibly precious Buddha nature within each one of us. With that in mind, let's turn to page 3 of the book. If you have this, the book, The Place of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. Okay, page 3. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyapsu che tage jinso kebe chonam ke chola penjire sangye drubare shom Sangye chodan soge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyapsu che Tage jinso kebe chonam ke chola penjire sangye drubare shom Sangye chodan soge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyapsu che Tage jinso kebe chonam ke penjire sangye drubare shom. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads hearers seeking pacification and complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subdue as expounded varieties of teachings. The one who is transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata and protector, to you are my prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays. To you the Buddha make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I journey the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om Yedhara Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Yedharama Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-line and non-composite, such as the nectar of Dharma I've discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the words. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space, is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of 3 times of the obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are of the nature of suffering. All phenomena are of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is also everything wholesome. A go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of the beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. Their spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, page 14. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, know the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the complete and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subdued from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst the humans, you are born on this earth, you pace out 7 strides, then set them supreme in this world. To you who are wise then are prostrate, with pure bodies, forms supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, wind of the best, Lord, to you are prostrate, with the supreme science face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you are prostrate, trustfree like you, the 3 worlds are not, incompatible wise one, to you are prostrate, the Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata prostrate, the purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dhamma that pacifies the prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, wholly feel qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flaming lamp, an illusion, a drop of a dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through this marriage, may sentient beings attain the rank of false seeing. Subdue the false and be delivered from samsara's ocean, battered by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Okay, today as auspicious the beginning of the resuming the class, we do the Heart Sutra recitation. This is to ward off the potential obstacles in the way to completion of this text, completion of the course, and then eventually joining the Narada Master's course, and then full-fledged in your own practice, the bodhicitta, wisdom, emptiness, And then you see that you're growing. Gade gade, para gade, para samgade bodhisattva happening. For that matter, this is extremely important. Heart Sutra. Okay, let's say this let's say this together. Meanwhile, let us not miss the 3 points that in this Heart Sutra, what is the question asked by Shariputra? What is the response given by Aravalokiteshvara? What is the benefit if you practice the wisdom of the perfection as indicated by Aravalokiteshvara? Okay, this is what we need to keep in mind as we read this. And imagine that you are leading this and all sentient beings, including your 2 parents, they are joining us. I prostrate to the Arya gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Buddha was dwelling on Mars of Arches mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Aravalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Aravalokiteshvara. How should any child of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom train? He said that, and a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Aravalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is also no other than emptiness. In the same way, fading, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object to touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element and so on up to and including no mind element and no mental conscious element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation of the path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration, and thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, there is the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times also manifest the complete awakened to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment and reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth since it is not false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared, Tiyata Om Gade Gade Bara Samgade Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Buddha arose from that concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Aravalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Buddha having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Aravalokiteshvara, those surrounding the entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Buddha. Okay, if you recite this mantra 7 times, let us visualize that Buddha Shakyamuni is exhorting us thus, don't remain in the fears of samsara anymore. Come to the ultimate happiness. And you hearing this from the Buddha Shakyamuni, you inspire your 2 parents, you inspire all the dear sentient beings, informing that, look, this is what a compassionate teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, is exhorting us. Let us not remain in the fears of samsara anymore. Let us all go to the ultimate happiness. And all the beings hearing what you are saying, they are so inspired to join you in this journey of cleansing the mind and pursue through this journey of Gade Gade Para Samgade Bodhi Soha. Remember that you are leading this and all the beings are joining you. Delta Om Gade Gade Para Gade Parasam Om Gati Bodhi Swaha Tyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Tyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing power of truth, may inner and outer hindrances be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be non-existent, may they be pacified, may all negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, may all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma, may auspicious sense of perfect happiness pervade this place now. Okay, today again, as the very auspicious gesture of beginning this, we'll read the foundation of all good qualities, page 42. This is going to be the blueprint of our lifelong Dharma practice. How I can go from where we are now till the full enlightenment, Buddhahood. What should I be practicing? So this is going to be a whole blueprint, beautiful blueprint given to us by Lama Tsongkhapa, the omniscient Lama Tsongkhapa. Okay, let's read this. The foundation of all good qualities is a kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After that, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtuous and non-virtuous karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativity and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teaching is keeping the Pratimosha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I've fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this training Supreme Bodhicitta and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Even if I develop Bodhicitta, but I don't practice the three types of morality, I'll not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I've pacified distraction to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind train a unified path of karma abiding in special insight. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the Supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the two attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to firmly protect these vows and pledge like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the two stages, essence of Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect Gurus, I enjoy the manifesting Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, I could attain to the state of Vajratara. Okay, now we'll do 5 minutes breathing meditation. 5 minutes meditation. Okay, I'm not going to give a detailed explanation of the this meditation. You already got the instruction before. I'm going to give the very quick, the salient points. Reminders. Basically 4 points. One is the body posture, number 1. Number 2 is the focal point we're going to meditate on. Number 2. Number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation. Number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Okay. And for the body posture, 2 things which I like to really reiterate is the body upright, little flexible, and then eyes not closed. Eyes not closed. Okay, breathe normally. This is so important. Eyes 45 degrees cast down. Okay. Then the focal point, say the counting the breath, and if possible, multitasking, visualizing a tiny dot, tiny white dot between nose and the upper lip. 1, and then counting the breath. Breath in, breath out, 1 cycle. Breath in, breath out, cycle 2. So we do these 2 things simultaneously, if you can. If not, just count. No need to visualize the dot. Just count. Then number 3, identify the errors of meditation. Just laxity and in the excitement. So let us make sure that these 2 things don't seep in. If they, of course, they will come. They will visit us. When they do come, they no need to panic. Just go for number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. And remedies 2, introspection and mindfulness. Okay, ready? 5 minutes. Okay, so last time what we covered, what we did was we did pretty good job with identifying or with the practice of the bodhicitta. The two methods, we covered that. Now let's imagine that through our practice of the bodhicitta, at one point we reach to a point where there's a spontaneous arising of the say the altruism, spontaneous the feeling of altruism coming within you, arising within you, wishing to become Buddha, that I have to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. It becomes so spontaneous, saying the what do you call it, overflowing with the sentiment of wishing to become Buddha for all the sentient beings. At that point, you will generate bodhicitta. So we have the bodhicitta one, which is so important. Then as a precursor to this, as a precursor or the preliminary to the practice to the arising from bodhicitta, we have to have the experience of renunciation, number 2. And then meanwhile, to have the renunciation bodhicitta, these two as extremely in proper shape, we need the wisdom of emptiness. Without the wisdom of emptiness, we may have a vague feeling of renunciation, and the renunciation can be very intense. Bodhicitta can be very intense, particularly for somebody. If somebody is born with the some people they are born with the natural feeling of renunciation, and then some people are born with natural feeling of compassion. Bodhicitta, the renunciation, they are there, and then without the wisdom of emptiness, meeting with some teachers who are not really exposed to the extensive studies, but then very good, sincere, very dedicated practitioner, and then the student also, the teacher gives some instructions, and the student practices it, and then a very intense feeling of renunciation can come. Very intense feeling of bodhicitta can come. Intense practice does not mean profound practice. Intense renunciation does not mean profound renunciation. Intense bodhicitta does not mean profound bodhicitta. So the intensity and the profundity, we need to make a distinction between these two things. Okay, let's say that for example, today, if I were to speak on quantum physics, yes, I can speak about quantum physics a little bit. I can speak about it. I can touch many areas, like say quantum entanglement, then the quantum vacuum, and the uncertainty principle. I can touch many of the areas. And then many people, they may get a feeling, oh, he's so well versed in quantum physics. No, I should be very honest. I may touch many areas. Almost there's nothing new, there's nothing extra for the quantum physicist to speak on. But if a quantum physicist comes to speak, for example, like, what is his name? Professor Nicholas, I forgot. Oh, one is Professor Anton Zeilinger, he's a world-renowned quantum physicist. Anton Zeilinger, and the other one is Professor Nicholas, I forgot his surname. Professor Nicholas, who is also the level of he's in fact the pioneer of the quantum teleportation. One of the pioneers of this concept called quantum teleportation. What I'm saying is that they give the lecture on quantum physics, and I give the lecture. You can see the stark contrast in the quality. Stark contrast going. What they speak on, it is crystal clear. What I speak on, it doesn't have the sharp edge. It doesn't have the edge. Whereas them giving on the speech on quantum physics, they have the sharp edge there with the quantum physics. Likewise, say some people might have intense renunciation, but the person's mind of what the renunciation is, it does not have a sharp edge. It does not have the profundity. Likewise, bodhicitta. So, with a very systematic practice, then you can have this. Okay, let's say that with a very systematic practice of renunciation, bodhicitta, today, each one of us, we get a feeling, we get a very strong feeling of a very strong, very natural outpouring feeling of bodhicitta. Very natural, spontaneous experience of bodhicitta. At that point, let us not forget this. At that point, when this bodhicitta becomes very spontaneous, at that point, you become a bodhisattva. Let us not forget this. The moment this bodhicitta becomes very spontaneous, you become a bodhisattva. So the point is that the bodhicitta, because it's a very spontaneous experience, there's intensity there. It may not have the profundity. When the profundity is lacking, then what you get, that feeling, the clarity is lacking. There may be the intensity there. Okay. So which means that if you have the wisdom of emptiness, then it will give you a very clear picture. What is, say, may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. What is Buddhahood? The final understanding of Buddhahood must come on the basis of understanding of emptiness. Dharmakaya, emptiness of the Buddha's mind. It must be from that experience, then you can feel what the Buddha is. And then the desire to achieve that state for the benefit of sentient beings. That should come to us. Likewise, renunciation. Actual experience of renunciation, that aspiring to achieve the state of nirvana. That nirvana must come to us. The most refined understanding of nirvana is on the basis of, again, understanding of emptiness. Emptiness where your miseries dissolve. Miseries dissolve in the experience of emptiness. So that is the nirvana, and aspiring to achieve that. That is the final understanding of renunciation. So this renunciation, to what extent it will become very profound, is determined by the wisdom of emptiness. Bodhicitta, to what extent it becomes profound, that you identify the real Buddhahood as the experience of the emptiness, dharmakaya, emptiness of the Buddha's mind, where there's nothing, there's no stain there in this emptiness experience, there's no stain there. At the same time, this mind can flow freely because there's no stain there, because there's no obstacle there, there's no obstruction there. It can flow freely towards every atom of the universe. This is how you can benefit all beings simultaneously. So this comes to us, that quality, what you seek, that comes to us through understanding the understanding dharmakaya. Dharmakaya, the empty ultimate reality, emptiness of the Buddha's own mind. Buddha's own mind, when you experience that, then the desire to achieve that becomes so intense. So that is only possible with experience of emptiness. So renunciation, bodhicitta, the two things to be refined by the emptiness experience. Okay, so these three things are important, very important for us to keep in mind. And let's not forget this. And then to stabilize this experience, all three of these experiences, we need to have the single-pointed meditation. So in other words, all our practice somehow, now that we are being a part of the Nalanda diploma course, undertaken Tibet House, through the blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, we have to make it a point that, okay, now unlike the other people who just meet with a teacher and have some teachings, blessings, and so forth. Now you should do a little bit differently. That, okay, now I know what the path is like. Okay, renunciation is indispensable. Bodhicitta is indispensable. Wisdom of emptiness is indispensable. Single-pointed meditation is indispensable. You must gain conviction in these four through your learning. And on this basis, we must create a blueprint of your day-to-day life, lifelong practice of the day-to-day, lifelong practice of what you should be doing, what practice that you should be embracing, so that we should have a blueprint, good blueprint. So let's say that today, okay, so we said that renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom, and emptiness. Okay, let's say that what we learned is that if today we generate, each one of us, we generate very spontaneous experience, overflowing experience of bodhicitta, at that point we become a bodhisattva. What about, so before that, you need to have the experience of the renunciation as a precursor to the experience of the bodhicitta. You should have the experience, spontaneous experience of the renunciation. At that point, what path have you entered? So with the bodhicitta, we entered the bodhisattva path. We entered the Mahayana path. When you generate the renunciation before that, then what path have you entered? This question. Okay, this is very important. These are all the technicalities. These are all the technicalities which say just 2-day teaching, 3-day teaching will not explain these things. You're getting it? These are all the technicalities which we learn in a very systematic, say like 1-year course, 2 years course, or 4 years course. Only in this course we learn these technicalities. Okay, so on the, say it depends. Say when you generate the very spontaneous experience of renunciation, what path have you entered? This question. So there, it depends on the individual. You ask yourself, what are you seeking? What is your main goal? Main goal is personal liberation or Buddhahood. If your main goal is personal liberation, renunciation means to achieve nirvana, and nirvana is personal liberation. So therefore, for somebody who is seeking personal liberation as the main goal, for that person, the moment the person generated renunciation, the person has entered the path of accumulation, the first path of the personal liberation seekers. Okay. Whereas if you are somebody who wants to achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings, which means that you are yet to generate bodhicitta, but your renunciation has become full-fledged, has become spontaneous. So at that point, you have not entered the personal liberation seeker's path. You are yet to enter the bodhisattva path also. You have not entered any path. You getting it? You have not entered any path. But this is far better. This is much, much better than entering the personal liberation seeker's path. Okay, so the more detail I explain later. Then, after this renunciation, because then your basic motivation is not for your personal liberation, but for Buddhahood, to benefit all beings. So it is just like the stepping stones. Renunciation is the stepping stone for you to get to the actual path. So what is the actual path? Actual path is the aspiration, your basic aspiration, and what this path aspires. So this path, the bodhicitta, only when you have the bodhicitta, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, and your basic aspiration is the ultimate goal is to become Buddha. So these two tally. So the bodhicitta is one. The moment you generate bodhicitta, at that point you enter the Mahayana path. Okay, so from this what we come to know is that people in general, there are two kinds. People who work for themselves and people who work for others. So likewise in the spiritual journey also. In the spiritual journey, people who work for themselves to liberate oneself and people who work for others, the Mahayana aspirations. Two. And people who work for themselves, we call them the personal liberation seekers. And their goal is personal liberation. And for those people who seek to benefit all beings, their goal is total Buddhahood. So there are two goals. Now, and because there are two goals, there are two seekers, two practitioners. And within the personal liberation seekers, again there are two. One is Shravaka and the other one is Pratika Buddhas. Shravaka also translated as hearers, those who hear, hearers, Shravakas. In Tibetan, Nyentu. In Sanskrit, Shravakas. And in English, hearers. Then the other one is Pratyeka Buddhas. Okay, you heard about it since the early classes. Pratyeka Buddhas. That is the Pratyeka Buddhas. There is the in English is usually translated as the solitary realizers. Pratyeka Buddhas. In Tibetan, Rangil. Okay, so we see that now dividing this personal liberation seekers into two. Now we see that there are three divisions of the practitioners. Practitioners who seek Buddhahood, that is the Mahayana practitioners, and those who seek personal liberation, there are two. Shravakas, and the Pratyeka Buddhas. Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, and the Mahayana practitioners. There are three. Don't forget it. So, from this we see that there are three goals. Broadly speaking, two goals. Nirvana and Buddhahood. Nirvana, we can divide them into two. Nirvana of Shravakas and Nirvana of Pratyeka Buddhas. And then the Mahayana, that is Buddhahood. So there are three goals, three practitioners, and the three vehicles. The paths which take these three practitioners to their aspired goals. Okay. So with this, now the next is, because there is a very the common expression or common statement or a common what do you call it, axiom, to say that the 15 parts, or 5 into 3 15 parts. 5 into 3 is 15. So why 5 into 3? How is 5 into 3? What is 5? What is 3? What is 15? If you know the 5 and 3, then you know the 15. Okay. So the idea is that there are three vehicles. 3 vehicles to take you into the 3 aspired goals. So there are 3. One is Shravaka, then Pratyeka Buddha, and the Mahayana. 3. And each one of them, to achieve their goal, to achieve the aspired goal, there are 5 steps each. There are 5 steps each. So each one of them having the 5 steps. 5 steps into 3 vehicles is 15 paths. 5 steps are known as 5 paths. 5 paths for each one of them. So 5 into 3 equals 15 paths. Okay. Now, what are the 5 paths? This is what we have to keep in mind. The first one is, okay, by the way, just for information. So these 5 paths are indicated in the Heart Sutra mantra. Gate, Kim. Gate, second gate, third paragate, fourth parasangate, bodhi swaha. The 5. Gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. These 5 in Heart Sutra, these 5 segments in Heart Sutra, these 5 indicate the 5 paths. 5 paths, and particularly Heart Sutra is in the context of the Mahayana practitioners. These indicate the 5 paths of the Mahayana practitioners. Otherwise, generally we speak about 5 into 3, 15 paths, meaning 5 parts of the Shravakas, 5 parts of the Pratyeka Buddhas, and 5 parts of the Mahayana. 15. So for that matter, what we need to know is we need to know what the 5 parts are. And after knowing this, we have to know you can come up with your own questions as well. Okay. So the 5 parts in general. Number 1 is the path of accumulation. Number 1 is path of accumulation. Number 1. Number 2 is path of preparation. Okay, path of accumulation. Number 2 is path of preparation. Number 3 is path of seeing. Number 4 is path of meditation. Number 5, path of no more learning. Let me say this again. Path of accumulation, preparation, seeing, meditation, and no more learning. Okay, these are the 5 paths. There's 5 paths, and all the 5 vehicles, all the 3 vehicles have the 5 parts each. Each of them, the 3 vehicles, all 3 vehicles have the 5 parts each. Okay, now the 5 parts, the first we have to know what these 5 parts are, and then what they mean, the deeper meanings. First one is path of accumulation. Okay, for example, let's say that I think I have asked this question to you. I think I asked this question to you as a part of the bodhicitta practice. The bodhicitta practice, the first method, the sevenfold cause effect method to generate bodhicitta. Sevenfold. So there are 7 steps there, and the preliminary. There's one preliminary step, which is the step of equalizing self and others. Equanimity, not equalizing. It is equanimity. Okay, equanimity. In Tibetan, it is tangyum. Equanimity, and equanimity is not counted as in the 7 parts, in the 7 steps. So my question to you was that why the practice of equanimity is not counted as the in the main body of the bodhicitta practice. Why not? Shigela, did I ask this question? Okay, all of you, did I ask this question before? Yes. Yes. Okay, now all of you must have the answer on your fingertips, right? Okay, anybody who has the answer? Why this one, the equanimity is not counted as the main in the main steps? Why it is treated as a preliminary, not as the main steps? Why not? Anybody? Okay, the Tarch Mulder.
Yes, I understand. Thank you, Kaishla. Because it's similar for all 3 vehicles, and it's
Okay.
not specific for the Mahayana.
Very good. Because this is something that all the practitioners across the board of the seekers, be it Shravakas, Pratik Buddhas, or the Bodhis, the Mahayana, all 3 must practice this. All 3 must practice. This is not something unique of the Mahayana practice. So therefore, it is counted as a preliminary. It's not counted as the main body. Okay. So now the first one is the path of accumulation. Path of accumulation. So let's say that with all these the 7 steps, and then with the preliminary is preliminary equanimity, and finally you get this feeling that may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. That too a very spontaneous feeling. So at that point you have entered the first path of accumulation, and you become a bodhisattva, right? Okay, so what is path of accumulation? Path of accumulation, all these words should have meanings. Accumulation. It is like, say you have a goal. What is your intended goal? What is your fun aspired goal? What is the aspired goal? Anybody? Say somebody who wants to become Buddha or following Mana path. What is the final aspired goal? Anybody, very quickly? Just raise your hand. Okay, Thamala, just unmute.
Geshe-la, to achieve.
Yes, Buddhahood. Okay, so that is your main goal. So, for example, somebody who says that, okay, I like to build I would like to build a very good school, school for, let's say, 1,000 students, 1,000 children, school for 1,000 children. So the person has a goal. The person has that goal, and to materialize this aspiration, what should the person do? So the person has to start the work. What's the work? The work is to build the houses, build the buildings for the classrooms, and the dormitories, and libraries, hall, and so forth. And for that, to build, first you have to gather the materials, accumulate the materials. First you have to accumulate materials. For to build a house, we need to first accumulate the materials. Now, to build the house of the Buddhahood, you said that the goal is what the Samanamala said, that the goal is of somebody who falls in the Mahana path, the goal is to become Buddha, achieve Buddhahood. To achieve Buddhahood, it is like building a house of the Buddhahood, building the castle of the Buddhahood. So, for that to achieve Buddhahood, you need to gather the materials. You need to accumulate the materials which will be used to achieve Buddhahood. So that is it. First effort should be accumulating the materials to accomplish your goal. So that path, the first one, is known as path of accumulation. So for the house, for the literal house, for the little houses, the materials are like cement, brick, sand, then the iron rod, steel, and so forth. For the Buddhahood, what are the materials? This is your question. What are the materials to achieve Buddhahood? Two. One is the merit, and the other one is wisdom. Wisdom and merit. Wisdom and merit, these are the two materials for you to use them to achieve Buddhahood. These are two materials. And later on, by the time you finish your Nalanda Diploma course, you must be able to know how these two, the merit and the wisdom, these two are the materials. You have to know that, not just mimic somebody saying that, okay, part of accumulation. What is part of accumulation? It's collecting the materials, accumulate the materials to become Buddha. What are the materials? Merit and the wisdom. It's not just sufficient for you to be able to mimic these points. You should gain conviction that yes, anybody asks any question to you about this, how these are the materials, you should be able to give the answer. Okay, for the time being, if I go into too detail, it can be a little confusing. So for the time being, let's simply structure this, and feel free to ask questions to me during the later on. Okay, accumulation. Accumulation is accumulating the materials for you to become what you seek, your final aspiration. What you seek is the Buddhahood. And what are the materials required to achieve Buddhahood? Two. Merit and wisdom. What is merit? What do we practice? What do we practice? Of the practice, we can see that there are two things. One is the wisdom. Of course, by the very label wisdom, we get something, we understand something. Wisdom. And then the other things like generosity, then the ethics, patience, enthusiasm, meditative concentration, and so forth, skillfulness, and so forth. So there are many other qualities, and all these qualities that we need to build can be grouped into two. For example, the people in this group, we can say the girls and the non-girls. We can group that into two, girls and not girls, or the boys and non-boys, or the below 30 and non below 30s, right? This is how we can classify. Likewise, we can classify all the qualities that we need to become enlightened into two. One, the wisdom, and the other, non-wisdom. All those which are non-wisdom, which are required for you to achieve Buddhahood, these are known as the merits. Merits. In Tibetan, it is known as sonam. Sonam. Okay. So accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. Now, when we do this one, when we do the initial bodhicitta stanza, when you read, go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, by my accumulation of the practice of giving, so forth. By my accumulation, this word comes. By my accumulation. So now we are talking about the path of accumulation. You're getting it? So when you are to become enlightened, you have to accumulate something. You have to accumulate the materials. So what kind of accumulation? So here in the bodhicitta stanza, we said, by my accumulation of the practice of giving and so forth. Giving and so forth. Giving and so forth. Giving, ethics, patience, enthusiasm. And then the wisdom is also there. Wisdom. So accumulation of wisdom and accumulation of non-wisdom. Non-wisdom, like the generosity, then ethics, patience, so forth, they all fall under the category of the merit, accumulation merit, and accumulation wisdom. Okay. And some of you may ask me the question, why not you classify all these accumulations into two, like generosity and non-generosity, rather than wisdom and non-wisdom? Right? Wisdom and non-wisdom, fine. Non-wisdom, we call it merit. Why not generosity and non-generosity? You can call a generosity non-generosity. Non-generosity you can call as merit. Right? Why not we divide it like this? Why we classify them as a wisdom and a non-wisdom? Okay, so all these we have to freely ask questions. Don't just take things for granted. Don't just follow blindly. Okay. And if you answer this question now, by the way, keep in mind that there's one trend. There's one what do you call it? A tradition that if I ask a question, right, then I don't take the responsibility to give the answer. You're getting it? So therefore, you don't give a chance to me to ask question, right? So you should come up with a question yourself, so that if you want an answer from me, then you don't give the chance to me to ask question. If you give chance to me to ask question, you will say ask the same question next time to me, I'll not answer. Because this is a tradition. We can't do anything. It's a tradition of NDC. You're getting it? It's a tradition of NDC not to give the answer if I ask the question. Either you ask the question or I ask the question. If I ask the question, don't expect answers. You're getting it? Okay. So if you want the answer, then don't let me ask the question. Okay. So because I asked the question here, why wisdom and the non-wisdom as merit, now I cannot give the answer. Okay. So the accumulation of the merit and accumulation of wisdom. So this is this is the point. The first part of the 5 parts. The first part is one when you primarily dedicate on gathering the 2 materials, accumulation merit and accumulation of wisdom, because of which this part is known as path of accumulation. And path of accumulation, okay, we'll stop here. Our path of accumulation has 3 divisions. That we'll do the next session. Okay, questions? Any questions? Except the question which I asked you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Geshe-la.
Yes. Chart Mulder. Oh, Sweekin. Yes.
Geshe-la, my question is, I have not ever come across that the Stravakas and the Pacceka Buddhas need to practice equanimity in order to achieve Nibbana. I mean, at which point, at which part of the path do they need to practice or develop equanimity?
Okay, the Swee Kim, tell us where you're from.
Oh, okay. I'm from Singapore, and yeah,
Okay, Swee Kim is from Singapore. Okay, Adam friend, Swee Kim from Singapore. Okay, so the point is that now this is a great opportunity for us because we are studying it very systematically, right? Systematically, it is like say for the car, the main engineer of the car and the mechanics of the car, the two, right? Same. When we study this very systematic, how we are doing now, each one of us should become like the engineer, not just a mechanic. You're getting it? The point is that okay, now whether you heard it from somewhere or not, now in this when we are following this class, we should be able to have a judgment from your side. Okay, this one, the equanimity, Shravakas and Pratik Buddhas, do they really need it? Do they really need to practice it or not? You should be able to decide it rather than, okay, how do we know that? What text is there? No, it is not necessary. Okay, the idea, okay, still, so this is the basic idea that the basic beauty of this course. You're getting it? But because we are not introduced to emptiness yet, we already introduced emptiness. Hey, NDC, not yet. Okay, because we are not introduced to emptiness yet, so I cannot really impose that on you, but just for your information, that we should be able to take decisions ourselves. But double check it. The decision that you're taking, whether it's proper or not, double check it with somebody else. Cross check it with somebody else. Otherwise, sometimes we take it. Okay, now I'm from NDC, I'm from NMC, then I can say anything? No, right? Okay, double check it to make sure that what you're saying makes sense. Okay, so the idea is the equanimity. Equanimity. It is that here. It is that the say my mom, my mother who I love so much, my parents who I love so much, and the difficult person who I hate, and all these the indifferent, the strangers, indifferent. There's a biased thinking within us. This biased thinking involves two things. This biased thinking, one, you see things as objectively real. Number one. Number two, that because now there are three objectively real things. One is somebody who loves me so much. Number two, who dislikes me. Number three, indifferent. There are three the things seen as objectively real. And now the self-centered attitude will pick up. Oh, this person loves me so much, so I love. Excessive love. This person dislikes me, so I don't like him. This is my difficult person. This is my enemy. This is no difference in my life, so who cares? Indifferent. So this is, as long as we have this attitude, Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas, as long as they have this attitude, they can never become enlightened. They can never achieve nirvana. Nirvana is a state where this pull and push stops. Pull towards your near and dear ones, push towards your enemies. That is samsara. So the personal liberation seekers, Shravakas or Pratik Buddhas, their job is to exit from samsara. With samsara, their job is to free themselves from the involuntary pull towards your near and dear ones and involuntary push towards your difficult people. This is their job. So therefore, this is what they have to focus on. This is what they have to practice. This is in fact we can say that this is the major practice. This is their primary priority for them. This is a major practice. So, for example, we say that for the Sharvakas and Pratik Buddhas, or for them, we speak about, say, the attachment as the root of samsara. Attachment towards whom? Towards the near and dear ones. When once the attachment is created, then the polarization already happens. With attachment, involving pull, there's involving push there. Because what pulls you? What pulls you? There is a factor which has the opposite qualities of what pulls you. So these things will push you. So involuntary pull and push, that is samsara. So their job, primary job, is to exit from samsara. It's not like, they exit out of Singapore, exit out of India, but exit out of the wrong thinking of involuntary pull and push. So this is the major practice of the Sharvakas, the Pratik Buddhas. For the Bodhisattvas, this is not the major practice, but this should be done as a preliminary practice. It should be like the basic ground. They must have this practice as a basic. Yeah. Okay, Swikim, thank you. More questions? Yes, we can. Unmute. You're still mute. We cannot hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Krishna, say that it's because of this idea of involuntary pull and push that is samsara. Then why is it that the involuntary pull and push of this exchanging self of others, for them, it's not something which they have to discard, because that's not included in their path, right? I mean,
No, say it again. Swikim, say it again. Say it again. I did not hear well.
okay, you're saying that the involuntary pull and push is what they have to exit from. So
Yes.
in case of exchanging self for others, there is also an involuntary pull and push involving themselves and others. So why is that?
In the practice of equalizing and exchanging self and others, there's also the involuntary pull and push, or there's also the staying away from involuntary pull and push.
Yes, that part is also, there's also involuntary push involving the fact that they are pushing away from others. They're not cherishing others, and they're cherishing themselves. So that should also be part of their path, right? The Shravakas and Prajika Buddha's path.
Okay, this is a good question. Let's say that the self-cherishing is also a pull. It's a pull towards the self. So if this is, then the Sharvakas and Pratik Buddhas, they should also practice to get rid of the self-cherishing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Very good. Very good question. This is a very good question. Okay, let's say that let's say self-cherishing, self-centered attitude. We use these two as interchangeably, but don't be too rigid with using these vocabularies. Some people may not agree with us with the usage of the vocabularies. We must know the concept well, and then vocabularies be flexible according to the other person's usage. So the question is self-cherishing or self-centered attitude. Self-cherishing. With the self-cherishing, there's also involuntary pull towards the self. So if this is what is happening, if this involuntary pull, then the Sharvakas and Pratik Buddhas involuntary pull, I said that this is the samsara. Then the Sharvakas and Pratik Buddhas, they have to also discard the self-cherishing. Right? So why don't they discard the self-cherishing? This question. The Swikim, did I get you fully your question? Okay, good. This is a very good question. Very good question. Thank you. Self-cherishing. Self-cherishing, there are two. Gross and the subtle. Gross and the subtle. The gross one says that I am more important than others. I am more important than others. This is a very gross one. So the Shravakas and Pradipudha, yes, this is I am more important than others means, it means that involuntary pull and involuntary push towards others. This is samsara. This is what Shravakas and Pradipudha, they try to get rid of. But they do not get rid of self-cherishing overall. What is that? The subtle one. What is the subtle self-centered attitude? That is, say, cherishing oneself. To cherish oneself, there's nothing wrong in it. Don't forget it. Let us not forget that. To cherish oneself, there's nothing wrong in it. When does it go wrong is to cherish oneself and discard others and disregard others. This is the very gross version of self-centered attitude. Number two is cherishing oneself. Now the subtle self-centered attitude. Cherishing oneself and by being oblivious to others. Number two. These two are different. Cherishing oneself as oneself is more important than others. This is number one. This is very gross. The subtle one is cherishing oneself by being oblivious to others. Oblivious meaning that, okay, others are important. Who's more important? If you ask Shravaka or Pratik Buddha practitioner who's highly realized, or Shravaka and Pratik Buddha arhats who reach the Bodhisattva level, who reach the path of no more learning. If you ask them, who's more important? You are more important than others are more important. They will say that we are equal. Right? They will say that we are equal. So they will not cherish themselves as more important than others, but they have the problem. What's the problem? They say that, okay, who's to be liberated? They will say, I'm to be liberated. Who's to be liberated? I'm to be liberated. Pujala asks, who's to be liberated? They will say, I'm to be liberated. Then Swikim asks, who's to be liberated? I'm to be liberated. Right? Then Laura asks, who's to be liberated? I'm to be liberated. What's the problem with this attitude? That's correct. I'm to be liberated. Yes. But it's always referring to the self. It's not referring to others. The person has forgotten others. It's not that the person said that others are less important, but the person is not aware. So the English word is oblivious. Oblivious to others. Whole focus is on the self. Not saying that I'm more important than you. Then no. Then if you say that I'm more important than you, finish. You are in samsara. They're already liberated, but they said, yes, I'm to be liberated. What about others? Yes, others also to be liberated. Right? Only when you remind them this, yes, there are others to be liberated. But in their mind, it's always, for example, say, let's say that, okay, okay, my NDC all the time, right? It's not only one person's NDC, but everybody is taking part in this. But my NDC, there's nothing wrong, and it's very good. Instead of my alcohol. Instead of that, my NDC is so good. But there's a problem there. What's the problem? That problem is you're not referring to others' NDC. You're getting it? So this is known as, in English, it is known as by being oblivious to others, not disregarding. Disregarding is a very strong word. Disregarding is where you actively disregard others. I'm more important than others means you are actively disregarding others. Whereas here, you are not doing that. You are simply unaware. Your mind, basic, only if somebody asks you, others are equally important. They will say, yes, they're equally important. By no means I'm more important. We are all same. They are very convinced of that. But they are not trained to think about others. Whereas bodhisattvas, they are trained. They are trained to think of others. Because they are trained to think of others, they always think about others all the time. But the Shravakas, they are trained to think of themselves. So I. Okay. So therefore, the same, this, that I am more important than others, this gross self-centered attitude, this is also samsara. If anybody who has this is in samsara. So Shravakas, Pratik Buddhas, they also discard that. Now, what kind of self-centered attitude they have is in a way the self-centered attitude they okay. This is one thing that these are all the technicalities. Now the Nalanda Masters course, Nalanda Diploma course students, we have to know these. The subtle self-centered attitude, it is cognitively correct mind, cognitively non-erroneous mind, self-centered attitude. A subtle one, it is cognitively non-erroneous mind. It is like a small torch. Small torch, it is a light. It is a light. Light is the wisdom. But it is very small light that it cannot show you the whole garden. It will only show you one flower. Right? It will on this light, torch light, will only show you one flower. It will not show you the whole garden. Sun will show you the whole garden. So sun is like the Bodhisattva's thinking, the Buddha's thinking, and the Shravaka's thinking that I'm important. This is like it's a cognitively non-erroneous mind. It's fine. This mind is fine, but it covers only a small area, only the self. It doesn't cover all the sentient beings. So it is only able to show you one flower. It will not show you the whole garden. So this is the problem. It is not cognitively a proper problem. It's the problem with the narrowness of the object of the apprehension. Narrowness. It's very small. Yeah. Thank you, Swikin. Any more questions? Okay, Alhamdulillah.
Geshe-la, so we can
Alhamdulillah, we cannot hear you. Okay, Alhamdulillah, the best thing would be you. We cannot hear you. The best thing you type. You type. Your voice is breaking. The best is you type the question, and then the Deepishla can help us. Okay, Shagun, you have a question? Shagun?
Shagun's mic has a problem. She messaged me.
Oh,
So I will.
Shagun also has a problem. Okay, now we have Elroy Fernandez.
I think Shagun already asked a question, Gishla, in the chat. Can I read it on her behalf?
Oh, yes.
So her question is, Gishla, can you please briefly explain the difference between Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas?
Say it again.
Can you briefly explain the difference between Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas?
Oh, this is a good question. Very good question. Okay. Okay, let's say that I run a school for quantum physics, and Nobel laureate in quantum physics, somebody like, okay, I don't know who the Nobel laureate is with the quantum physics. Let's say relativity, let's say electromagnetic, the theory. Say I run a school for teaching electromagnetic theory. And Einstein also runs the electromagnetic theory, and he got the Nobel Prize for that contribution. So he starts a school for that topic, and I also start a school for that topic. And both the schools, any graduate, both the graduates will say, I finished this degree. But the one who is graduating from Albert Einstein's center will be of classic high quality, and from mine one is not so quality. Right? Likewise, Shravakas, their enlightenment is very gross as compared to the enlightenment of the Pratyeka Buddhas. Number one, because the enlightenment, there's a difference. Say let's say to become the school teacher and to become the vice chancellor of a university, right? Which will take more time. Naturally, to become vice chancellor of university will take more time than to become a teacher in school. So the Pratik Buddha's enlightenment, to achieve that, the time required for one to practice, one to train, is said to be 100 aeons. 100 aeons. 100 aeon is many, many lifetimes. Whereas the time required for somebody to achieve the Shravaka Buddha, the Shravaka enlightenment, if you are intelligent, is only 3 lifetimes. No aeons, 3 lifetimes. But for the Pratik Buddhas, is 100 aeons. And the aeons is going to be like, each aeon will have thousands of lifetimes. Whereas for the Shravakas, it's only, if you're intelligent, only 3 lifetimes. And if you are giftedly intelligent, only 2 lifetimes. So the duration is much less. The enlightenment that you achieve is of lesser quality. And for the Pratik Buddha's duration is much more, and the quality of the enlightenment that you get is much more refined. So this much we can know. And then what practices they do, this will come in more detail later on. Thank you, Shagun. Okay, next, Fernandez. Unmute.
Okay, yeah, hi, yeah. Yashula, I'm Alroy from Goa. So I actually wanted to know is that how can we collect merit without wisdom? Don't we need wisdom
Okay,
to achieve?
this is a good question. Thank you so much, Fernandez. Thank you so much, Elroy Fernandez. Thank you so much. Without the wisdom, how can we accumulate merit? Okay, this is a very good question. Wisdom. Wisdom, there are so many kinds of wisdom. The wisdom to know how to accumulate merit in the most effective way. This is also wisdom, right? And the wisdom to know emptiness. This is also wisdom. And the wisdom to know how to stay away from coronavirus, right? While you are in Delhi, still learning how to stay away from coronavirus. This is also wisdom. So wisdom, there are so many kinds of wisdom. So the wisdom that we are talking about here, accumulation of wisdom, accumulation method, or the accumulation merit, accumulation of wisdom here, wisdom refers to a very specific wisdom, wisdom of emptiness. You're getting it? So, even without, for example, somebody who's a very kind person, without exposure to the emptiness concept, the person can accumulate generosity. The person can be ethically very sound. Person can be so patient. Person can be very enthusiastic in the virtues. A person can go into samadhi. There are so many people who go into samadhi meditation, very profound meditation, without any experience of emptiness. So these are all accumulating the merits without the wisdom of emptiness. They do have the wisdom, but without the wisdom, the special wisdom that we are talking in this context. In this context, we're talking about the wisdom of emptiness. And in fact, for information, before the Buddha Shakyamuni appeared on this earth, there were so many practitioners and teachers also. But wisdom of emptiness was brought on this earth for the first time by Buddha Shakyamuni. Before that, people were accumulating merit, so much merit, but they have no idea about what the wisdom of emptiness is. So accumulation merit, accumulating wisdom was not happening. Accumulation of merit is happening. Yeah. Thank you, Fernandez. Okay, any more questions? Okay, Tinshigela.
Ishla, we have 2 questions in written.
Yes.
First, and then I've also received a question from Triptiji. So,
Yes.
Lamula's question is, Yeshila, when we say, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, so here, is it not that the mind is pulled towards others? So can you please clarify if it's a voluntary pull?
Okay, this is a very good question. Thank you. Okay. Now the Besa, you have to give the answer.
Geshila, today my role is moderator, Geshila.
Okay, so this is a good question. Say, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings? Is it not a pull towards the Buddhahood? Your Buddhahood, this question. Okay, all of us will give the answer the next session. Give the answer next time. All of us. Shagun, then Suzanne, then Tenzin Dumala, then Chart, Pujala, Minoti, Swicken, Laura, Fernandez, then the Kabilji, Lafon, then Swana, Caroline, all of us. We will come with answers next time. Okay, this is a very complicated question. Namula, I wish we stopped before you ask question. Okay, we'll all think. We'll come with answer in the next session. Okay, next question.
Geshila, I think it's a strange issue. Tripti ji is with us on the video. She's able to see, but we are not able to see. I'm not sure how that's happening. But anyway, she sent a question. Our question is, are the paths sequential? Which means when we are on the path of accumulation, we are not using the path of meditation. Is it this the
Okay,
case?
so this is a good question. For that, don't worry. I have to explain all these five parts first. So I just touched the part of accumulation. Even that I'm yet to complete. So we'll first finish all the five parts, and then the many of the questions that you have in your mind now will be solved in the process. And then after that, the questions left, I'll be so happy to entertain. That's it. Okay, more questions? Okay. If not, then we'll end with a dedication prayer. Okay. Let us pray that His Holiness the Dalai Lama lives long and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously, so that the whole world, all the leaders of the world, they can learn from him how to go for, say, compassion, how to take decisions on the basis of compassion, universal understanding, the oneness of the whole world as a family. Let us pray that all these leaders, they get some sense to learn from him. For that matter, he has to live long. So let us pray that he lives long and that his aspirations for the world come true. And let us also pray that all the great learning centers of the Bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness, all these learning centers, they thrive in the activities of study, reflection, and meditation for the betterment of the humanity and for the betterment of the whole, all the sentient beings. And let us pray that through the merits, the accumulation merit of our being together here, that the victims of coronavirus, those who pass away to this coronavirus, those who are in the ICUs, and those who are in the front row of the combat against the coronavirus, the doctors, the nurses, or the medical, the professionals, let they all have their mind so calm, the anxiety all subsided, the anxiety subside, and that the coronavirus disappears from this by the finding a very helpful the medication, vaccines as soon as possible. And may the collective negative karma responsible in bringing this coronavirus and all the other ills of the universe, may they subside by the power of the collective positive karmas. And may a personally dedicated merits thus gathered, that each one of you, through a concerted effort in the practice of bodhicitta and wisdom of emptiness, soon see the dawn of the wisdom, emptiness, bodhicitta within you, so that each one of you will become such a reliable guide to lead all dear mother sentient beings towards perfect enlightenment and the total freedom from all fears of life, and the infinite happiness. With that in mind, let's turn to page 288. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chen is the Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri summoned Bhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these truths of virtue, with the dedication praised as the best, by all the Buddhas who appeared in the three times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Chanjo samjo remboche Maige banam ke gyoroche Geba nyamba me bayan Kone kondo pevarai. May the Supreme Bodhisattva that has not arisen and rising grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of three times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all life, through the force of this merit, never separate from the four wheels of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect and the two stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I journey the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. By the power of practicing and subjugating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts. May Dharma and auspiciousness proliferate in all the places we abide. The path of union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the Protective Buddha Dharma and it brings the land of snows. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso. We subjugate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who help but manage through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the three jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the manifest Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajratara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of independent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Yata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvaha. Okay, see you next time.
Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.